Welcome to episode number 28 of the Blitz Take. I am here with Missouri writer Kenny Van Doren. And today's been a busy day with National Signing Day. And I mean, I'm very interested to hear what Kenny's thoughts are on Missouri's selections. So welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Alex. Just kind of looking at what Missouri's been going on. There was 21 guys expected to sign, and all about or 20 of them have signed as of right now as we're talking. The last one was Gabari Johnson, a four-star quarterback from the state of Washington. But there was some big news out there. The Mizzou landed Sam Washington, Sam Williams, who was committed to Wake Forest, and Missouri offered him just kind of out of nowhere. He flipped today. He decommitted from Wake Forest 2 days ago. To make it even weirder, Mizzou is playing Wake Forest in the Gasparilla Bowl on Friday. I'll be there covering the game. So just kind of adding to the fire there. And he had a pretty interesting quote where he said, it wasn't really flipping. I just made more of the business decision. And Mizzou has a lot more to offer for me academically and on the field. It's just a better fit for him. And I think kind of some Wake Forest fans kind of blew it out of proportion about what it really kind of means to them. But just for him, it's probably just a better option moving forward.
What are your thoughts on Shamil McNeil?
Yeah, Shamir he's a good guy. Talked to him a couple times here and there, and pretty open about everything. He took a visit to um, North Carolina State this past weekend. Kind of got a late push. I think he had a teammate from his high school in Florida also committed there, and I think he's signing there today as well. But there was kind of like maybe like, oh, maybe he could flip, and then he was one of the first guys announced that Mizzou signed. So he's staying at Tiger, and he's a good three-star corner. Probably not a guy that's going to see a lot this next season. Maybe just a few games there at the end of the beginning of the season, given he's not joining the team until the summer. Another guy he's a guy from Florida. He's coming a long way. That plays into it as well. But overall, I think he's just going to really feed into what Al Pogue and Blake Baker are doing with his defense, and I think he's just going to be one of those lockdown guys that could turn into like an Ennis Rakestraw, turn into a Chris Abrams drain.
What do these commits selections mean for the upcoming future for the program?
Yeah, kind of thinking about that is I've noticed a lot of these guys are coming early. I think last season there was only a few of those guys that committed early, enrolled in January, skipped their final semester of high school, and just finished up classes at Mizzou. A guy like Makai Miller who didn't get to redshirt, kind of turned into a real option at the end of the season at wide receiver for the Tigers. Other guys could really turn into that, especially like you don't see this a lot, but Blake Craig, he's the second best kicker in the nation according to Cole's professional camps, and then Brett LeBlanc, a long snapper. Like these guys are buying in early. They're really committing to this program. Another guy, Logan Reicher, offensive tackle, definitely could be a guy that maybe mixes in at the beginning of the year in some of this like cupcake games, and maybe even as a sixth blocker like they did with Armin Membo, who's a freshman this year. There's a lot of different guys. Brett Norfleet might see a lot of action, 6'7" tight end. I assume he's also enrolling early, a guy from St. Louis. But the tight end position was a little weak, and so he's somebody that's going to probably get into some games, especially early on in the season. Another guy, Ja'Kai Lang, a defensive end from Troy, Missouri, just northwestish of the St. Louis area. And he told me, he's like, I'm not passing up on this. I'm going to take this opportunity. I want to get out there. But then also guys like Marquise Johnson and Joshua Manning, two four-star wide receivers, according to some websites. And those are guys going to be the future of this receiving core. And, they're waiting until the summer. They've got track and field to, they want to run this spring, and, props to them that they're keeping that athletic dream alive. And, they just keep getting faster and better. And those guys are very upfront about it. And other guys, Jamal, who's in St. Louis as well, and he's another guy. He's not gonna run track this year. He's not gonna play another sport, but he's gonna keep with his progressions and get better for next season.
What are your thoughts on Marvin Brooks, who's a safety out of Coronel High School?
Yeah, Marvin's Marvin was an interesting case. Like his recruiting was. You looked at in October, and it was between Mizzou and Ole Miss, and I think everyone had it in the back of their mind. Even though he's verbally committing to Ole Miss in late October, still a chance he's going to be a Mizzou Tiger next year. I had a source that told me that he visited 3 times, like on during game weeks after he committed to the Rebels, and ended up flipping there at the end of I think early December, and so. Um, from what I've seen and what I've read on Twitter and from his coaches and stuff, he's just a dog. The guy tackles really well, and he's the first one to the ball. And if you kind of want to compare him to someone on the team from years past, like Martez Manuel has just been on every single play, just trying to get a hit on somebody. I think that's what his future might hold, maybe in the star position if Blake Baker's defense and Blake Baker sticks around, but definitely a guy that could be very flexible in the secondary for Mizzou.
My last question is, what are your thoughts on around the conference with all the commits?
Yeah, one thing that was kind of really stood out to me with the conference is a lot of guys from A&M transferring. I think that was kind of the consensus after last season. Nothing really went to par. Nothing was the standard. That's not what Texas A&M is about. That's not what Jimbo Fisher is expected to do, especially with the contract he has and the recruits that he's pulling in from Texas, and one of the best recruiting classes in program history, if not the best last year. And they didn't even make a bowl game. That was really interesting to me. And then another school is Arkansas. Arkansas lost a lot of guys. They lost a 4-star tight end from Kansas, and he committed to Kansas this past week. They're losing some guys, but they also nabbed 2 guys that Mizzou was after. The defensive end from Pitt and a wide receiver from Texas A&M Commonwealth. I forget what it's called, but it's in the Texas area. It's not regular Texas A&M, but Andrew Armstrong's his name, and you're grabbing guys here and there. A&M's losing guys, or sorry, Alabama's losing guys to other programs, and Georgia's getting better. Dominic Lovett, who left Mizzou, is rumored that Georgia's an option. LSU, Texas, future SEC school there. So the conference is getting stronger. I think it's getting more balanced because you see some of these guys that aren't getting an opportunity in the first 2 years, so they go to other schools. Mizzou lost a lot of guys, or not a lot, but maybe 2 or 3 guys that could have been starters next year, but they left for an option where they got the opportunity to start. Zach Lovett, linebacker, he transferred to Iowa State, which presumably he will get more into the rotation there than he did with the Tigers. But even just other schools like Vanderbilt's getting better. Even losing Ray Davis, Clark Lee is a hell of a coach. I'm giving my props to Clark Lee. I think he's going to be a really good coach in the next couple of years. But Kentucky getting Devin Leary as well. I think Kentucky's going to look a little scary in the SEC East next year. Josh Heupel in Tennessee and Georgia, they're also going to have some competition with Kentucky getting better.
Thank you so much for taking the time to come on, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how Missouri does next season. And thanks again.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you.